Lumen point. Let's begin the breakdown.
So Audi is coming to Formula One. But listen, this isn't just about showing up to compete. This is about settling a score that's nearly a century old. A massive, high-stakes gamble to finally take down their oldest and biggest rival.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the mountain they have to climb. On one side, you've got Audi, an absolute giant on the road, but a total rookie in modern F1. And on the other, Mercedes, 8-time world champions who don't just dominate on the track, they also outsell them in the showroom. You see, this isn't just a race, it's a battle for German engineering supremacy.
All right, so here's how we're going to break down Audi's master plan. First, we'll dive into that historic rivalry. Then we'll look at their strategy for 2026, the dream team they're building, the huge cultural problem they face, their incredible legacy of winning, and finally, the absolutely staggering amount of money they're betting on all of this.
First up, we've got to understand something crucial. This fight didn't just start in some modern wind tunnel. No, it began on the dusty, incredibly dangerous tracks of Europe before the war. It's a battle that's deeply rooted in history and corporate pride. Long before Formula One as we know it even existed, there were the Silver Arrows. Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union, who is basically Audi's ancestor, were the absolute titans of Grand Prix racing. Their slick silver rockets were these incredible engineering marvels, and they dueled for glory, defining what German engineering meant to the entire world. Well, guess what? Almost 100 years later, that rivalry is back.
So how do you take a rivalry that's a century old and turn it into a modern game plan? Well, Audi isn't just starting from zero. They have a very calculated, three-part strategy, and it's all designed to fast-track their way to the front of the grid when those new engine rules kick in for 2026.
The plan is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly ambitious. First, you buy an existing team so you have a foundation to build on. Second, you forge your most important weapon, the engine, all by yourself. And third, you set up a spy shop right in your enemy's backyard so you can steal their best people.
Now, this is where it gets really clever, how all these pieces fit together. They bought the historic Sauber team for its infrastructure in Switzerland, but crucially, they're building their own power unit in Germany. That means no compromises. And then, by setting up a small base in the UK's Motorsport Valley, they can poach top engineers from teams like Red Bull and Mercedes without making them move their families across Europe. It's a brilliant strategic pincer movement.
But you know, factories and wind tunnels don't win championships. People do. So Audi has been on an absolute hiring spree, putting together a leadership group and a driver lineup that's designed to mix proven experience with massive potential.
And just look who they've managed to snag. Mattia Binotto, the former team boss at Ferrari, is now running their operations. And Jonathan Wheatley, the guy who's been the sporting director at the dominant Red Bull team for years, he's stepping up to lead the whole project. See, this isn't just hiring staff, it's like buying championship-winning DNA.
Then in the cockpit, they've gone for a really balanced attack. You've got Nico Hülkenberg, the super experienced veteran, a safe pair of hands who's even won Le Mans. And next to him, Gabriel Bortoleto, a raw, blisteringly fast prodigy who just stormed his way through F3 and F2. It's the perfect mix of a guy who knows the system and a kid who wants to break it.
Okay, so they have the plan, the factory, the money, the people. What could possibly go wrong, right? Well, their single biggest challenge isn't about horsepower or aerodynamics. It's about changing the entire mindset of the team they just bought.
This quote right here from Mattia Binotto, it says everything. The expectation from the very top is absolute. Audi is here to win, period. Not just to participate. 8th place is a failure when you have the full backing of a global giant. The question is, can they actually instill this mentality?
Because this is the reality check. In over 3 decades on the grid, the Sauber team has won exactly one race. One. They are absolute masters of survival, of punching above their weight, but they simply do not have the muscle memory of a championship contender.
And that's the real heart of the problem. You can't just change the logo on the wall and expect a winning culture to just appear. Audi's biggest job is to erase a 30-year culture that was built on just getting by. They have to completely rewire the team's DNA and install a ruthless expectation to win, where good enough used to be, well, good enough.
But, and this is a big but, if any brand has the pedigree to pull this off, it's Audi. You see, while they might be new to this specific game, winning is fundamental to their identity. We just have to look at their history in other types of motorsport.
I mean, just look at this legacy.
From those legendary Auto Union cars back in the 30s, to the revolutionary Quattro that completely changed the game in world rallying in the 80s, to their absolute dynasty at Le Mans, where they won 13 times, they've conquered every major challenge they've ever set their minds to. Formula One is really just the final chapter.
Which brings us to the final massive piece of this whole puzzle, the money. This is an enormous financial gamble, but it's one that Audi has very strategically protected to make sure it doesn't fail.
Okay, first, the price of admission. Just acquiring the Sauber team and its facilities cost around $600 million. That's just to get a seat at the table.
Then you have to add at least another $400 million on top of that just to develop a brand new power unit from scratch. And just like that, we've hit $1 billion.
And that's the bottom line. Before the lights even go out for their very first race in 2026, Audi will have already invested well over $1 billion. This is not some marketing exercise. It's one of the biggest bets in the entire history of modern motorsport.
So how do you protect a bet that big? You bring in a powerful ally. The Qatar Investment Authority has bought a minority stake in the team. Now, this gives Audi some financial breathing room, but more importantly, it makes the F1 project kind of immune to internal politics and cost-cutting at Volkswagen. It's now just too valuable and too visible to get quietly canceled.
So that leaves us with the ultimate question. They have the strategy, they have the dream team, and they have $1 billion protected by a powerful alliance. But is it enough to do what their ancestors couldn't? Can Audi finally rewrite history and dethrone the modern Silver Arrows? I guess we'll find out in 2026.
Fuel your curiosity. Subscribe for the explanation. Stay for the knowledge.